Hello, I am Tony Bowen and welcome to my Corn Country Rails. This is my Grinnell, Iowa Depot build. This is part 6 and I'm going to focus a lot of my attention on this video on how I started building the platform for the station along with the M&St.L side of the freight house and the Rock Island side of the train shed along the tracks. So the train shed, as you saw in the previous photos, has gone through a lot of changes over the years of the Rock Island. And so since I'm kind of set in the 1950s, I decided I'm going with the train shed that is prototypical of that time. From looking at the plans, the train shed itself was about 90 feet long that faced the south side of the depot facing the Rock Island main line. On the east side, which faced the M&St.L, there was no train shed whatsoever. It was just plain brick platform. On the back side of the Grinnell depot, or in this case the north side of the depot, there was a little awning over the M&St.L freight door. And so that's what I started building first, is that awning. The awning over the M&St.L freight door was pretty simplistic, pretty much a flat roof, 4 posts, and then just a little bracing. And so I basically was able to get that quickly taken care of in about a afternoon's worth of time. Once I reach the final stages of my depot, I will make sure I put in the signage like this photograph has of the north side of the depot. But for now, this is a pretty good rendition of what that looks like. So I just temporarily leaned the awning up against the back of the depot. It's not adhered to it yet until I get ready to paint the depot up, but when it's completed, then it will be permanently part of the structure. For the turret, I have really been experimenting with a couple different things, and I think the best thing that has worked is just finding the circumference and making my own turret out of really thin styrene. And so I'm still working away at that, but I think that's the way I'm leaning to go with. So I had a little downtime as I was waiting on some styrene from Evergreen. I will say this, if you've never ordered online from Evergreen, wow, very fast shipping. Great service. I had it just in a matter of days, which was wonderful. So while I was waiting on my order from Evergreen, I thought this would be an ideal time that I could start raising the elevation of the depot to be right at track level. So I start off with just some regular cork roadbed base to bring it up, and then I had already cut out the styrene platform to lay right on top. Once my order from Evergreen arrived, I was back in business to start working on the train shed. So I started the awning for the train shed platform with a notch out of it because it actually was part of the depot or attached to it. But then starting looking at other photographs going, maybe that wasn't such a good idea. So that notch that I cut in, I pieced back together and said, that's maybe not what I want to go with, and have it instead be one long 90-foot platform. After figuring out the dimensions for the truss, I set up a little jig and basically just cut several of them over and over, so I would have several of those pieces readily available. There was no cutting of any fingers while I was filming this one-handed and cutting with the other. However, I would recommend using both hands. once I had plenty of the truss cut, then it was time to go ahead and glue them in place. And after debating, looking at photos, thinking about it, this is when I pieced that piece of the roof for the train shed back together again. Well, because of some of the glues and that, the roof started to arch a little bit in the center, so I put a little weight across the top to hold it in place, which is pretty important when I want to have the post that will hold up the platform roof to be as straight as possible. At this time, I thought it was also a pretty good idea to maybe check some clearances here. This train shed roof was getting awfully close to the tracks, and I certainly didn't want to have passenger cars come around and clip it. But if I was going to have to set it back a little bit, I certainly could, and that's what I needed to do. As the depot itself went back about 1/8 of an inch just to make sure it would have plenty of clearance. For the train shed roof, it was pretty easy just to cut 2 big strips that would go on either side of the trusses to form the peak. Then, because it's a little bit of a hip roof on the ends, I measured out what I would need to cut off the ends so I could have that kind of hip roof design at the end of the train shed platform roof. It looked a little rough at first when I glued them down, but I knew once I put those ends on the hip roof, gave it some time to dry, and came back with a sanding stick, I could clean them up where they look pretty good. While that was drying, it was real easy to take one of the titchy chimneys and kind of locate where that chimney would be at the back of the depot. There you see it's pretty tall. You can see it through the trees and the posts there. So I just notched a little hole in the roof and put that chimney right where it needed to be as well. Well, I hope you've enjoyed part 6 of my depot build. Next month, I'm hoping I can get items primed and maybe even into the paint stage. There's the Around the Layout podcast, touring M&St.L car. It also made a visit on my layout here in this past month. Be looking for a video of that to come out as well this week. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, happy railroading to all of you, and thank you for watching.